Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Best Version of You. I am Mr. AJ Roberts, your host, and today I've got a fantastic guest. We're trying to nail him down for a while now. He's been a bit busy. Mr. Nick Dunn, how are you doing, Nick? You all right?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks for having me on your show tonight.
That's fantastic. Nick, guys, Nick is an ex-parachute regiment soldier. He was a member of the elite special forces group for the British forces. He's a veteran of Northern Ireland, Afghanistan and Iraq. And in 2013, he was one of 6 ex-British soldiers who was captured, arrested and detained, taken in and subsequently jailed in Chennai in India. Now, I wanted to get Nick onto the podcast to express his story, share it with all the listeners, how he overcome adversity, how much of a mental block things were whilst he was in prison, how he overcome all that, and how they fought to get themselves back to UK shores and see their families again. Nick, just run us through the early days. Just explain to us a little bit more about your military background to give the listeners a bit of an idea.
Oh, well, I joined the army in 2004, the age of 18. I chose the parachute regiment as the regiment of my choice. Basically, I wanted to join the best, and I believe the parachute regiment is the best. I went through training in Catterick. It was pretty gruesome, few niggles, few injuries, but I didn't want to give in. And I finally became a fully fledged parachute regiment soldier in 2005. I joined the 1st Battalion of the parachute regiment. I was first based in Dover, to where not long as a 19-year-old, I went and done 6 months in the South Armagh in Northern Ireland. Never been to Northern Ireland ever in my entire life previously to that, so it was quite a new thing for me. And just, going to Northern Ireland, it was as a young soldier, it was quite an experience. Obviously during the 90s and the Troubles and all that, compared to when I went in 2005, massive difference. It was pretty quiet, still things obviously happening, but it was pretty a relaxed tour. Came back, done obviously a few years more. We moved to St. Athens as we became part of the Special Forces Support Group. And in 2007, I went to Afghanistan. That, whoever has been to Afghanistan for the first time, or even more than once, it's a harrowing experience. Yeah, going into a war zone where 9 times out of 10 you'll not see the enemy. But obviously my time there, it was a short time, but it was a good learning curve, good experience. And I was involved in a vehicle mine explosion where I was top gunner. And for anyone who's been in a vehicle explosion, it is true what they say. It's like everything slows down. You haven't got time to react. It's just massive explosion. Your ears are ringing, and then you hope for the best. Obviously, everyone in that vehicle was fine. It was just a pressure plate mine, and it went up the engine block. So, we had luck on our side during that day.
What vehicle were you in? Was it a Wimmick, was it?
Yeah, it was just a light armoured Wimmick. So it was quite harrowing when obviously the guys went round with their metal detectors just to the north right of where our vehicle was parked. It was actually an anti-tank mine, or a bigger mine to that effect.
An old Russian mine.
Yeah, and I tell you what, if we'd went on that side, all 3 of them would have been wiped out. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the key problem with Afghanistan and those areas. They're just riddled with old Russian mines, isn't there? So you're almost fighting two
Yes.
enemies as soon as you get into a vehicle.
Oh yes, definitely. The amount of vehicles that when I was there that drove over mines was just mad. I think I remember 5 vehicles got hit with mines.
Mm.
Um, but it's just you're fighting two fronts basically. You're fighting the Taliban and Al Qaeda, and you're fighting the mines. It's not like a never-ending battle.
Yeah, and like
Mm.
I can totally concur with what you're saying. It's actually quite mentally draining as well because you just got to be so switched on all the time, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. Especially if you're on foot as well. The amount
Mm.
of people that's lost legs through mines, who lost their lives through men's from the British Army is quite a harrowing experience to say the least.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think after I've been to Afghanistan, it kind of basically toughened me up. It made me more of a man. Yeah, I was still young, but you may have like your military time where you act like a bunch of kids at times, but when you go on operations, the kid stays at home and the professional soldier takes control. So yeah,
yeah, 100%. And it's but when I last went to Afghanistan, I was a commander of quite a few young guys, and it was great to see how quickly they or Afghanistan does turn, or any conflict really does turn like boys into men, doesn't it? Quite
it
quick,
is,
and
yeah,
you've got to grow up very fast.
you've got to grow up very fast in a short space of time. It's as simple
Mm,
as that.
yeah, and the one thing that always baffled me was at that exact period in time, I was looking around and I was like, do you know what? The things that these young lads, like privates or sappers or whoever, the
Mm.
amount of stuff they have to know any one time is mind blowing, isn't it? Really, compared to like kiddies their
Yeah,
age out on Civvy Street.
yeah.
Everything from radio drills, vehicle drills, weapon drills, like counter ID drills, like you name it. It's just
Oh,
things you've got to know.
it's just mad. Like when I used to come home on, say, leave, etc., and I would see people who I might have been to school with, or just people roughly my age, and seeing how they're going on with their lives. I was just thinking, I'm glad I made this choice.
Mm.
I always wanted to join the army as a small kid, um, and I'm glad I went down that route. I have no regrets at all.
No, and
If I could do it all again, I would.
yeah, and it's a huge common trend with any of the guys that I've had and girls I've had on previously, who have been to Afghan or Iraq and been in that area where you experience raw camaraderie and with the lads and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
It's every single person would do it again. Um,
yeah.
Unfortunately, the people serving now, there's not that many left of those guys. It's you know
No, definitely not.
it's almost like well, a lot of them say that that they need a war just to sort of like get their robustness back up again
Oh yes,
to what it
definitely.
was.
The lad who I passed out with, he's a colour sergeant now, and he's just, But I'm like, you're going to be sergeant major one day. Your fighting days are over.
And
You know.
obviously, once you left the military, you did what so many ex-paras, Marines, and special forces lads do, and you got into maritime security.
Yeah.
What was that transition like for you? Was it pretty straightforward? Was it literally straight out of the army, straight on course?
Straight out the army, I went and done a close protection course. I went and done maritime course, and I found it hard. I'm not going to lie. Leaving the military with no qualifications. Like I said, I left school with no qualifications. Left the army with military skills, and trying to do a day-to-day job in Civvy Street was quite harrowing, and just the proactiveness that civvies have got compared to military, it's total different. And in the military, you get things done, but I found it hard. And then obviously I got my break in maritime, and I started doing work in maritime in anti-piracy, and did quite a few transits. And then as things were looking up, they took a drastic change, and it started a 4-year nightmare for me.
And that was in October 2013. And going back
Yes.
to the intro, and for the benefit of the listeners, you're one of 6 ex-British servicemen who were maritime security officers doing anti-piracy that were pretty much detained out of nowhere by the Indian Coast Guard.
Yeah. The 4 years that I've gone through, the key parts of them 4 years will stay with me for the rest of my life. I remember being on the vessel, the Seaman Guard Ohio, which was a company vessel, like a floating armory, where you come off operations, get your head down, chill out, hand in your kit, go on another vessel. We'd ceased operations and we needed fuel and provisions. Obviously, this has got nothing to do with me. This is done between company, agent, and people on the ground in India. So effectively, I am just a passenger. And we were, like I say, off the coast of India, waiting on fuel. I remember on the 11th of October, we're taking fuel on board. I went to bed, and then the early hours, our tactical deployment officer, who was in charge of the maritime security guys, basically told us that during the early hours, we were boarded by the Coast Guard, armed, and we were now getting escorted to the port of Tuticorin. So once everyone was told that on the 12th of October, so basically we were getting escorted by the Coast Guard to the port of Tuticorin. We were going very slow, and I was asking questions why we were going so slow if we're not too far away from the port. It should have normally taken probably an hour max. However, it took a bit longer, and it wasn't until we got into the port of Tuticorin. The reason being why we were taking so long is because we had a welcome committee, and it wasn't just a few people. It was like everyone, media, Coast Guard, police, you name it, they were there. And they weren't just from Tamil Nadu. These organizations were from as far as New Delhi, Mumbai. They must have been told some fantastic story about our vessel, which has got even the highest of organizations in India licking their lips to come down and have a look at what's going on.
So it was all preempted then. It was obviously planned,
Yeah,
clearly.
If there's a suspicious vessel, it's dealt with the Coast Guard there and then. This, obviously, at the time you don't think like that because you're thinking, "Whoa, what's going on here?" But as time's gone by, you start and think back, and you go, "We've been set up. There's absolutely no way." When you look at the paperwork that the port was saying that my radar wasn't working for 3 months and my other radar wasn't working for 6 months. And I'm thinking, well, if your radars aren't working, how did you know we were there? So I believe, and I will stick to my guns on this, I believe we were sold out by our agent.
Well,
Simple as that. At the time, you don't know what's going on because your mind's starting to, intake a hell of a lot of information and you don't know what to believe in. So we were in port, different organizations on the vessel, off the vessel, on the vessel, off the vessel. It was an absolute nightmare. And this went on for a few days. And different organizations were going, well, there's nothing to be had here. We were shown the weapons, which were locked away in pelly boxes. We were complying with the authorities. But one authority, the local guys, which were called Q Branch, decided in their wisdom to say they found weapons. And they now started an investigation on illegal weapons.
What were these weapons? What were these weapons they supposedly found?
Well, obviously the weapons that people use in maritime, and the 6 weapons that they deemed were illegal were actually in Mumbai 1 month previously. All paperwork accredited, all tickety-boo, yet these have turned around and singled them weapons out for being illegal. Mind, there was 35 people on that vessel. There was 35 weapons. However, 25 of those people were maritime security. Right. They could only use the weapons. But it didn't matter to the police. They put 2 and 2 together and come up with 100. Simple as that. After 4 days, all the weapons were removed off the vessel with the ammunition, everything. And then on day 6, I remember, like it happened yesterday. It was probably the start. This was the start of a 4-year hell. It was the early hours back in the UK. Obviously, India is like 4.5 hours ahead, 5 hours during the winter. So I remember being told we are going to the hospital and you can't take your belt, you can't take your glasses if you wear them, you can't take your wallet, you can't take your... And I'm scratching my head and I'm thinking, what hospital are you supposed to be taking us to?
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not stupid. We knew where we were going. They were arresting us, but couldn't have the decency to say they are arresting us. And I remember making a phone call to my family. I tried ringing my sister and she never answered because obviously everyone's asleep back in the UK. So I rang my mum, and the phone call I had with my mum was the last normal conversation I was able to have with my mum.
Sure.
Because 5 days before Christmas in 2013, she suffered a double aneurysm, which has affected her speech, and she'll never be able to speak properly ever again.
That's terrible.
So that is kind of like what I have to deal with in a mental way. It's like mental torture. And people say you shouldn't beat yourself up about it. But like when you've gone through what I've gone through, that's what you cling on to. People say if I had one wish, I wish I won the lottery. My one wish would be just to have a normal conversation with my mum. You know what I mean? That's all I want. I don't want to say, I wish this never happened. But that's all I want. So once I finished that conversation, my sister obviously rung straight back. And I literally said to my sister, we're getting arrested. I don't know when you'll next hear from us, but please get in touch with the British Embassy because, pardon me French, the shit's going down now. We were all put on buses with equal amount of police escorts, which it was overloaded. if anyone has seen the Indian police with how they hold their weapons, the weapon state, it's quite harrowing. The amount of the amount of muzzles that was pointing nearly in my face, and I felt like, just will you get off? You know, you're gonna end up probably shooting us in the head, because you just can't be. They can't be trusted. They're idiots. We were taken to the police station, and we never had food, never had water. We were there literally all day, sweaty, confused. No one from the embassy was able to see. No interpreter. It was like, sign this or we'll ruin your life. And we're like, sign what? It's a blank piece of paper. And this went on all day. And it was just absolute a nightmare, because you're literally on your own. There's no one representing you. There's no one helping you. It's just you in a police station, and they're shouting and screaming. And they were taking their time to process all we're through, because they needed to take it to court. But we got to court. It was short because it was after 6 o'clock. We went round the back. Some guy came out, waffled some crap, back on the bus, and then that was us. We were whisked off in the night to God knows where. We stopped at the side of the road, and on one bus and the other bus, they had another piece of paper which was blank, and they went, sign this. In 3 days, you go back to ship. And we're like, are you for real? You want to sign a white piece of paper with nothing wrote on it? So everyone was kicking off, and then we all eventually signed it, because we just wanted to know where we were going after, and they weren't playing ball till we played ball. So we signed this piece of paper, which was probably pointless, because people were just squiggling and everything. As long as the Indians could count 35 signatures, they weren't particularly bothered. That's how professional they are. And we literally turned up outside this prison, and I tell you what, upon looking at it, this was built during the time that the UK was in charge of India. This prison was built by slaves. That's how old the prison is. And when they found out there was a few English people in, the prison authorities were kind of clapping, getting a bit excited, because...
Well, like it was a huge catch. Like it was like a...
yeah, exactly.
Like taking down a stag deer.
Yeah, exactly. The prison that we're in, Palamcourty prison, we were there for a couple of nights, and it was just awful. The food that they were given was like an onion omelette, rice, dal, boiled potato, jack potato or boiled potato, which wasn't even boiled properly. It was still hard. It was just putrid, awful. But when you've not eaten, you've got to take advantage of it. So,
no, of course.
If anyone has ever done any of these, interrogations or whatnot, you take the food that's on offer, because you never know when you're going to get food. So for those who turned on, go, I'm not eating that, I was straight in there, because you don't know when your next meal's going to be. So
yeah, of course.
I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I just thought food is fuel, military, boom, So
what was at this point? Sorry, what was their actual treatment like of you? Like, was there any like physical wrongdoings? Were they being proper arseholes? Were they? I mean, like, because you're kind of like big lads as well. Were they just sort of like? Were they just trying to make themselves big? If you know what I mean, because you guys are big. Just that kind of attitude.
Definitely not. A lot of people might have. People have asked this question: How were we treated? We were treated fine. You got a massive language barrier, so you've just got to bear with it. And some of them who can speak English, it's very broken, so you forever go, but a lot of it's common sense, really, on how you deal with things between two different nationalities who can't, communicate. But no, I was not mistreated by any prison authority at all.
And there was at any point, obviously, you said there's a language barrier there, so a football didn't come out, because that's like the international language, isn't it?
It's cricket mainly over in India.
All right.
So no, definitely not. We just had to deal with it. The embassy did come and meet us in that first prison, and we were basically saying, what is going on? What is going on? Because they haven't physically charged for anything. They've not said anything. We're just being whisked off the vessel, chucked in a police station, and now we're languishing in a prison. And we're thinking, is this the prison that we're going to stay here? Because I tell you what, the 35 people in this little building, in one hole in the floor for a toilet. I'm like, I'm going to die in this place. I'm going to literally die in this place. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, that's just a recipe for disease very quickly, isn't it? Like,
yeah, exactly. And everyone's got different hygiene, different, like say, well, there's British, there's Indians, there's Ukrainians, there's Estonians, all chucked in this room, and you're thinking, I can't deal with this. But thankfully, if it was a little bit better. We were the 23 foreigners. We were taken from Palamcote Prison up to Central Prison 2 in Puzzal, Chennai. And that's where we basically spent the remainder of our time before getting bail in April 2014.
So by this point then, how much time had you spent in prison?
Just shy of 6 months.
And what was the days like? As in, did you have to get up ridiculously early? Did you have to do any form of like labour? Did you have to, or was it just literally just sitting around 3 meals a day and that was it? No comms with anybody?
Basically, we could have had 3 meals a day, but that would have been rice and dal, and we probably would have been ill and probably would have died. That's how bad it was. The first prison that we were in, we were all in little cells. I was in a cell 4, so those 4 guys crammed in a cell with a hole in the floor as the toilet. So you've got to be on top of your hygiene, simple as that. No room for error. Someone goes down ill, we're all getting it. And that happened on one occasion. One person got D&V.
Yeah.
Everyone got it. I remember me being totally ill, and I just was sick all over. And it was just horrible, because you think, have I got dengue fever? Have I got malaria? You know, if someone in that prison, if someone got really ill, you'd die, because there's no guards really patrolling, and they ignore you when someone's shouting. It was just a horrible prison. Our day-to-day in that prison was like, they would unlock the cells at 6 o'clock and re-lock you back at 6 o'clock. So you had like 12 hours being able to roam around. But because of that prison, we just stayed around the compound, not integrating with the other Indian nationals, because we had to go from that compound up to the kitchen, because we decided to cook our own food. So we were having 1 meal a day.
Bloody hell.
That was it.
Did you in that 6 months you spent in that prison, obviously when you left there, did you was there any way for you to find out, like, I take it you lost weight over that 6 months?
Yeah, I lost 10 kilograms. Man, I'm into me gym, and I was a bit stocky going into prison. But when you're not eating properly and you're not getting your nutrients, 10 kilograms to a lot of people might not seem a lot. But when I've seen a picture of myself when I came out of that prison to when I come out of prison after my conviction to come home, you can tell the difference.
Mm.
You look unhealthy,
Yeah.
simple. And we were unhealthy.
And what about the cell that you were in? It was you and the four of you. Like, were they British lads? Were they lads from the ship, ex-military?
Yeah, we were all kept together, all 23. We were not in cells with different nationals. We were all kept together as one big group. I was in a cell with 2 British guys and an Estonian.
Who speak good English?
Yeah, he speaks good English, so it was good. And to just pass the time on your day, we read book, do dot to dot. Yeah, I remember at night times we used to play battleships. You've got to do something, the basics, to pass the time, because if you sit and dwell, it's going to mentally get in your head, and your days are going to feel like weeks, and your weeks are going to feel like months, and so on and so on.
So before the 6-month period, did you know that there was a chance that you'd be getting released from there?
Have no idea.
No.
We didn't know how long we were going to be in there. Yes, things is happening in court. I think, if as far as my memory serves me right, we got granted bail around Christmas time, but then they cried up to High Court, the police, and said the weapons were illegal, and they granted it. So they just stopped from getting out around Christmas time, which was quite frustrating. And obviously 5 days before Christmas, we had a visit from our embassy, which they would bring letters. There was no communication, couldn't even send a letter out. It was just letters in, and then our letters given to the embassy, they would be passed on to our families. 5 days, I remember, like, from one of the guys getting a visit, the embassy girls would keep him at the side at the end of the meeting. So I was told, if you can just stay back at the end of this meeting. I thought, someone from my family's coming to visit. And then it was, no one wants to give anyone bad news. And the girls knew what my letter says, because they've got to check for any information getting sent that may be a bit wrong, whatnot. And they gave me a letter that was typed up by my sister. And when you get a letter and certain words jump out.
Yeah.
To this day, I've not even read that letter fully. I probably don't even have the letter anymore. It was just my sister pleading with me, saying, your mum's okay, she's okay, she's okay. But when you're in prison, it's 5 days before Christmas, 2013. Your head's all over. You don't even know why you're in prison. And now you're getting told your mum's fighting for her life, and she's just had a double aneurysm. Anyone who knows what an aneurysm is, you don't survive. The survival rate on people having aneurysm is like 0.1% or something daft like that. You do not survive. That is it. My mum had 2.
Shit.
And she survived. And someone upstairs was watching over her to keep her alive, so one day she could see me again. That's what I believe. And it's funny because my sister came to visit me in March for my birthday, and she was telling me and showing us pictures of my mum in her recovery. And she says, by the way, the surgeon who operated on your mum's an Indian. I went, he could be from Mars for all I care. He just was doing his job.
Yeah.
But, you know, if I was ever to meet that man, I would shake his hand and say thank you.
Yeah.
Because
they're not tied with the same brush, are they?
Yeah, the mental aspects of that. I remember walking with the letter and the red mist was coming down, and the people who know me, I can be a little hothead. And being in the situation that I was in, battling that red mist to go from the jailer's office to my compound was quite a walk. And for every step I was taking, it was becoming such a struggle to stop that red mist, just to keep control. I was just walking, tunnel vision. I could hear Indians screaming, shouting, probably slagging us off in their own language. But my head was distraught. I felt like just giving up and unleashing the beast. But if that was the case, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. I would have ended my life in that prison. That's the mental aspect on things. And I know it sounds selfish, but when you're going through that situation, you don't think properly. So I understand for veterans who are struggling and need help, I understand where they're coming from. Because I've been there. Yes, I never took my own life. I battled and came out a lot stronger. Yes, my emotions is a little bit shite at the minute, but that's just who I am. I'm mentally stronger than what I was.
Mate, that's amazing. And you just, explaining to the listeners there, in just pure transparency, like just how you just come over that, and that's just pure resilience. That is against what you must have been suffering right there. You are literally a million miles away, aren't you? In a different country.
You've got no communications. The only communications you've got is through letters. Yeah, I didn't see my sister till she came to visit me in March 2014. And then we got bail. We got bail in April. It was technically March 26th or something, but it took so many days because they had to put plans where we were going to go, what police station we were going to sign bail, the sureties, all the niff-naff and trivia to basically ensure that we weren't going to just get out of prison and do a runner. So we got bail in April, and we went to a hotel, and twice a day we had to sign bail. We continued doing that for 3 months, and then July 2014 we got the quash. So therefore, a quash means some charges are still active. However, my charges and all the security guys, etc., had no charge. We were technically 3 men. So up from us winning the quash, the police have a 90-day appeal day. So if they do not appeal in 90 days, that's it, you go home.
Mm-hmm.
However, we had our lawyers stating Indian law, and we had a meeting in the embassy. We had people from New Delhi come down, and we were basically showing the British government get us home now. During this period, we do not have to remain in India. They are illegally holding us. Because if we went back home and they appealed, they'd have to then go through extraditing us. Well, that would never happen. And the British, and it's the only time I can, out of the 4 years, I can show me frustration with the government and how let down I feel by how they've done, is because they turned around and went, we don't believe they'll appeal. I said, they've got nothing from day one. They're going to take it to the very end. And because we're battling a police organisation, a government, the Supreme Court in New Delhi is going to take their appeal whether they've got nothing or they've got everything on the table.
The thing is with that is that the British government, regardless of like whether they would appeal or not, you're a free man in a country that can leave, and by not bringing you home, like, well, not just you, the other guy as well, by not bringing you home, they've automatically given the Indian government leverage.
That's true. Yeah, if they basically slammed straight in Supreme Court or New Delhi and said, look, hang on, our guys down here in Tamil Nadu, they've had their case squashed, as you know, by Indian law, they don't need, I reckon things might have happened because the ignorance that the British government shown to think that they wouldn't appeal. And we're like, well, they're not going to appeal on day one. They're going to take it to the very end just to piss us off.
Mm.
And that's exactly what they done. They waited till day 88 out of day 90 to put an appeal into.
Okay.
So basically, it's getting close to the 90 days, and on day 88, the police put their appeal in to the Supreme Court on day 88, as I said, and that basically just pissed us off big time. We only had a couple of days, and that would have been us green light, go home. But for them to chuck that appeal in so close to day 90, that was like a sucker punch. That brought our morale plummeting down.
Oh, I bet it did. That must have been horrendous.
You're just being, you know, walking around, getting on with your life as best as you could as a free man, to now being told you can't leave the country, but you're still a free man because nothing's happened yet, but we're going to lodge an appeal. And you're like, you're joking. So obviously all questions and fingers were getting pointed at the British government. Why didn't you listen to it? But they believed that they wouldn't appeal. And I'm thinking, you've not been sat in a prison.
Yeah.
We have. Listen to what we've got to tell you.
Who was the Foreign Secretary at that time?
The Foreign Secretary at the time was William Hague, and he was one of the guys' MPs. We came over to have meetings in India, and he raised our case. It was a coincidence because he came over, and then a couple of days later we got the quash. But I still think he just kind of sped the process on the decision. He didn't have direct involvement in any decision making at all, because our lawyer made sure that we would get the decision. Because
who was backing your lawyer? Like, was the government? Did the government sort your lawyer out, or was it you guys had to have?
The company originally got the lawyer, but then turned around and went, "Oh, we can't pay her." So we then paid her. The families put money together to pay for our lawyer. It's as simple as that, and that should never have happened.
No. For innocent, especially when you're like absolutely innocent, like
exactly.
And so then, once they've took it to the appeal, and then it went to Supreme Court, didn't it?
yes, it went to Supreme Court. There was, obviously, Supreme Court is the highest court in India. So if the guys, including myself, thought the other courts were slow on getting things done, this was even slower, because obviously you imagine all the big high-profile cases that would be going on in India that's made it to Supreme Court. So things that was happening in Supreme Court, it was he said, she said, that kind of scenario. So the judges basically wanting to know what's going on. So you've got the police with their prosecutor, you've got our lawyer, and the Estonians decided to get their own lawyer because it was because our lawyer that we had that got quash, she couldn't do the Supreme Court, so the company then paid for another lawyer. So I just thought, well, it's not costing us. We'll go with a company lawyer. And then the Estonians, in their wisdom, decided to get their own lawyer who was more experienced than our current lawyer. So when the judge has gone, right, let's hear your story, because he already knows our argument, he stood up and he's asked him one question. Why was the ship there? What were you doing? And he turned around and went, I don't know. I'm just here to get the Estonians home because they're just passengers. The moment he said, I don't know, that was it. The judge made his mind up. He didn't need to listen to what waffle he said afterwards. He just went, well, if you're saying that, and you're saying that, there's only one outcome out this, and that's a trial. So we said on week 1, day 1, in the first prison to the embassy, if we have a trial, we're going to prison. We will get convicted. And that's what happened. The police, as far as we were told, were in a jubilant mood, knowing that the case is now going back to the lion's den in Tuticorin to have a trial. So that was July 2015. The trial started September 2015. And the conviction, i.e. judgment day, as we used to refer them to, was the 11th of January 2016. So during that space of from September to January, they were doing a trial. I turned up on a few occasions. There was one occasion where I felt violently sick, and that's when our lawyers are cross-referencing the statements that the witnesses were putting down, i.e. the collector of evidence. And I remember him saying that if I'd seen the ballistics expert's report, I wouldn't have put the charges on the men. So basically, he's put weapons offences charges before he's even seen the ballistic expert's report.
But yeah.
So when the ballistic expert during the trial has brought the weapons in and he's gone, Your Honour, this is a dummy switch. This cannot go to automatic. The judge turned around and went, duly noted. And you thought, all right, okay. You know, the trial was going so well. It was, they didn't have a leg to stand on. It was all in our favour. And I remember before we had Christmas and New Year break, that our lawyers more or less said, we've done everything we can only hope for a good outcome. However, we do believe it will be a good outcome and you will go home because, as you've seen, you know, they can't win. And we're thinking, and you start to believe that it's over. But in that far region in the back of your mind, you're thinking, nah, something's not right here. It looks too good to be true.
When you're on the plane back home and then you kind of believe it, isn't it?
Exactly. That's when I knew it was over. So I remember going to court on January the 11th, 2016. I was a little bit late. There is video or footage of me walking to court and I'm strutting because I'm late because the media was going like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I haven't gone to court yet. I need to go. Ring us later. And then I got into court. It's hot. It's early in the morning. Your heart's going. Your mind's all over the shop. You just want to know, is this ending today? You've got our embassy there. You've got the Estonian embassy. It was jam-packed. And I remember speaking to one of the Estonian guys, and I said, something doesn't look right. He went, what do you mean by that? I said, why is there loads of police lined outside the courtroom? He went, what do you mean? I went, well, you can see them now. And I went, why? If this was going to go in our field, why is a big police response? Like, literally, there must have been about 30 police officers on either side of that courtroom. And it was just a harrowing experience to be in that courtroom and not even know what's going on. It wasn't like, yeah, you're guilty, boom. It was the judge's assistant stood up, shouted something in Tamil, and we're like, what? Obviously, the guys who are our lawyers, our embassy workers, they were local nationals. And I remember seeing one of our embassy girls get up and straight on her phone like that. And I was thinking, oh, maybe it's just she's had to take a phone call. And then I've seen scared men. I've seen people pleading for their life. And our lawyer who came towards us after we were like, what's he said? This man was shitting himself because he had to tell 35 men they're getting sentenced to 5 years for illegal. And his face will stay with me for the rest of my life because he was shitting himself. I swear you not. He was a scared man. But we handled it like professionals. It was horrible. Yeah, yes, your mind starts rushing and you're not thinking, and I'm like, I need to ring. So that was it finished. There was a lot of time to sort stuff out, like a signed piece of paperwork, get a booklet, which was just flung like that. It was just all crap, you know. And then I had to make, obviously, phone calls. The media rung me. I went, I can't speak to you. You'll have to speak to my sister. So I rung my sister. All the media was at my house waiting. My sister was going with like a good family friend to my mum's because like it was early morning over there in the UK at the time. And I remember saying to my sister, Lisa, get to mum's now. She went, what do you mean? I went, just go now. And then I hung up. I rung my dad. And I told my dad that we've been sentenced to 5 years. And he was like, you're fucking joking. Pardon me, French. He was he was like, you're joking. I went, no, I'm not. He says, what are the convicted you for? I said, illegal weapons. He went, but the weapons are fine. I went, Dad, we know that. He's took the original design method of the G3. The original design method of the G3 is to fire fully automatic. but he forgot to add, however, this weapon's been modified to fire single shot only. It's had parts removed and cannot be replaced for anti-piracy. He's just took and just turned the whole case on its head like that. And I felt like smashing his face in.
I don't blame you.
I think everyone in that courtroom wanted to smash the judge's face in. And I was just like, corruption? Absolute corruption. They hadn't, the police couldn't even tell on the map where we were.
And
they didn't even know where the vessel. They didn't even know where the vessel was.
And at what point, when you got convicted then and sentenced to that 5 years, at what point did the British government get involved to try and do something about it?
I think basically they said they were involved straight away because they realised that it was a big miscarriage of justice. What's just happened. What they turned around and told us was even the Indians up in New Delhi were shocked at the decision. I was like, you were that shocked you let us spend a further 2 years out of 5 years in prison? So you couldn't have been shocked that much.
Yeah.
But going back into that courtroom, and obviously I had to make a phone call to my family, mainly to my mum. So my sister's like got us on loudspeaker, and I've said I'm being convicted. So obviously my mum's in a recovery from a double aneurysm. Yeah. And it scares me hearing her screaming down the phone. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible feeling. But I had to leave it at that because it was upsetting. It was making us angry, and my head's all over because we're like, what the hell's going on now? What do we do? We're speaking with the embassy because I was staying in a hostel, and we had to get people to sort our belongings out. So we had people to sort our belongings out. At the time, I was in a relationship with an Indian girl, so thankfully she done the good thing and looked after me stuff and put them away. But what she done in the years after that was tremendous. She became like a middle person for getting the messages from families.
Yeah.
Her being local, she would come to visit me in prison, bring letters for the other guys as well.
Oh, brilliant!
So the frequent of their messages were a lot better, and were able to send letters in that prison. But obviously,
the prison itself, did you go back to the same prison you were in at the start?
It's actually next door, Central Prison 2 and Central Prison 1. Central Prison 2 is the remand prison. Central Prison 1 is when you've been convicted, you will go in there. It's a smaller prison, but it's not as bad. It's still bad in its own right. You know, it's a very basic prison. You know, you picture you're banged up abroad programs. It's like that prison. Everything's basic. No beds, slate floor, hole in the floor as a toilet.
It's like they almost want to see you suffer for, like, in their eyes, like you fucking up in their country. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's
and I tell you what, if our prisons in the UK were something similar to what I went through, you'd see a lot less crime. I guarantee you that, because our prisons are like holiday camp.
Yeah, and re-offenders, you'd be a lot less.
Yes, exactly. You know, 3 square meals a day, PlayStation, phone calls, visits. Don't get that over there.
Yeah, but that's crazy, man. And how long did you do? You ended up being there for over a year, didn't you, before things got better?
So January to November 2016, it was court, and in November is when we're supposed to have a decision on the appeal, but the judge wouldn't do it for some reason. So we then went another further year for a decision. Wait, just shy of a year, waiting on a decision on our appeal. And I always said to the guys, if one of us dies, we'll be out of this prison like that. And the captain of the vessel, he had bone cancer, but he didn't realize at the time his treatment was working. And his court case was in Supreme Court, and the judge was hearing his case, and his court went to the Supreme Court. We're in the High Court waiting on a decision whether we're having to take it to Supreme Court or we're going to be free. And he had the Supreme Court judge, the Chief Justice, basically the highest judge of all of India, hear his case. And he just turned around and went, why are you still in our country? And obviously, because it was just, nothing was happening, so it just phased out with everyone else. So this is when I turned around and say to the British government, were you making enough noise?
Yeah.
I don't think they were.
No, doesn't sound like it. A year's a long time for nothing to happen at all.
And then basically, our lawyers representing the captain more or less said, well, they're waiting on it. They've been waiting for nearly 1 year on a decision at the High Court. So he's basically wrote something down and gone, right, I want a decision within 2 weeks. That was handed back down to the High Court, and we had a decision within 1 week out of them 2 weeks. And that decision was the 27th of November. And the night previous, so it happened on a Monday. The Sunday night, no one in that cell slept. It was just one of those nights you don't sleep because you're anticipating what the next day is going to be like. And this was like all the time there was a court date or a date for a decision to be made. Your mind would just keep you awake. You couldn't sleep because this is your freedom.
Yeah.
It's stake. And I can imagine if you're guilty of a crime, then you don't take into consideration these things, right? You can cry and say, oh, I want retribution and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, you're guilty. When you're an innocent man and you've had your freedom taken away for a crime you have not done, it's quite a horrible experience to live through. And we never had sleep that night. And then obviously the Monday came. As soon as that cell opened, people were out and about because they wanted to tire themselves out. We didn't know when the court case was going to be heard. Around lunchtime, we got in communications with a lawyer. She says it's not been heard yet, but we're thinking about around 4 o'clock. Well, apparently there was about 40 cases to be heard. Surprise, surprise, ours was last. Yeah. And in the prison, we built our own little makeshift gym. So I was out training at the time, and where our little gym was literally behind where my cell was. I was training, and I remember one of the guys, Paul, he shouted at the barred window, Dunny. I was like, what? He went, and you could hear it in his voice. It was a mixed emotions of laughter, crying, everything. And he went, it's over, case acquitted. And I was always trying my best to remain positive as best as I could with everyone in that prison, because negativity spreads like wildfire.
Yeah, it certainly does.
It's a horrible feeling when you're down in the dumps to try and get through your days. So I tried my best to stay positive and keep other people's mental state positive. And upon hearing what Paul said on that day, it was just like me knees started wobbling, and I couldn't believe it. I literally couldn't believe it. And you could see that the morale just go from there to just skyrocket, because we've just won our appeal, and there's no way they could appeal, especially when it's been handed by the Chief Justice of India. How could the police? They can't appeal. It's come from the highest judge. You can't appeal him. So it was just an amazing feeling. You just want to get on a plane and go home, but you know, when's that day going to come? And as you can imagine, you go to sleep that night, you can't sleep because you're up at height. And then I was praying for that door to be open at 6 o'clock so I could go and train to tire myself out. And I was training, and I walked around the compound. I saw Paul get summoned to the jailer's office. And I was like, all right, okay, see you in a bit. And then I was walking around again, and I collared him coming back in. I went, what's the crack, Paul? He went, embassy's coming at 11 o'clock. Pack your shit up. I went, and I was like that. I was shaking. I felt like being sick, because that was like winning the lottery.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Because if the embassy's coming, you're going with them. Because that's what happened when we got bail.
Yeah.
Kind of. You know, it's over. And obviously, everyone was packing that belongings, what they had. I just pissed about, because I thought, it's going to be in Indian time. Wait.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have all my stuff down there to wait for hours and then. Because just because they're coming at 11 o'clock doesn't mean we're going to be leaving at 5 minutes past 11.
Yeah.
I think we didn't leave till early afternoon when I went through the procedures and because obviously we had prison bank accounts, so to speak. So they had to withdraw what money we had in them, and that takes paperwork. But this has never happened. This has never happened in Indian prison. Normally you would have a few days or a couple of weeks once a decision's been made to where the court where the court hands the actual verdict paperwork to the prison. It was done on a phone call. It was like, get them out tomorrow, now.
That's brilliant.
And so you can imagine what's happening in the UK. To this day, I haven't got a clue. Obviously, I've seen, when I come home, I've seen the video footage of when my family gets the news that it's over, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I've seen the video on the BBC. It's that's unbelievable.
It's amazing. It's a family being reunited. That's what it's all about. And a son gets to see a mum again. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
You know, obviously fighting for my freedom. And when the chip's down, you never give in. You keep fighting mentally, because as soon as you give in, that's it. They've won. And I walked out that prison with my head held high and my long, curly, scruffy hair, because I grew my hair for 2 years. I couldn't grow a beard properly. That used to do my tits in, so I always used to shave it off. But I grew my hair,
You're like the Milky Bar kid.
Yeah. So obviously everything was done. We all got escorted by the embassy to the British embassy in Chennai. And I remember using the phone call, and I rung my sister because that's the only number I knew off by heart.
Yeah.
And good job she's never changed it for all these years, because I didn't have any phone or anything. I had nothing. And I rung my sister, and when I thought it was just a delay, but it's like when you've not heard each other for quite a length of time, you forget who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And I said, "It's me." And she went, "What do you mean it's me?" I went, "It's Nick." And then she just started screaming and she went, "I'm coming to get you. I'm on the way to the airport." I was like, "What?" So my sister was flying out to India to bring us home, so to speak. And then obviously, because we knew we had to get visa details, exit visa, permits, and we knew it wasn't going to be easy. We knew it wasn't going to just take 1 day, 2 days, because this was the Indian authorities' last roll of the dice to head fuck with, basically, to muck with. My sister came out. My sister came out and spent a few days with my sister, and the media came out, done some interviews and stuff like that, which was great. But I just wanted to get on that plane. I just wanted to go home. But obviously, I had to go through the whole process. My sister, like she only came for a couple of days. She flew back. I went to the airport, saw her off, and then sorry, I didn't. Sorry, cancel that. She wanted to come to where I was getting my visa, but they took such an arm and a leg trying to get that done, because they were, like I say, mucking were about, saying, "Oh, internet's down, we can't process it, blah de blah." So my sister Lisa, she had to literally go to the airport in Chennai and fly back to the UK. Because obviously she had to get me family organised for my arrival. Because obviously she literally couldn't come back on the same flight as me. It was already pre-booked. So I then got my visa. I remember the embassy going, "What time do you want to fly at?" I went, "Oh, I want to fly at this time, because obviously I'll only be in Dubai 2 hours, and then that's fine." And then they looked at the paper and went, "No, you've got to go now." They literally kicked everyone out of the country on that day. It was like, all the foreigners, get out now, in a polite way. So me and a couple of British guys, we went to the Chennai airport, and we made our way to Dubai. And it felt real, but it didn't at the same time, because I wasn't coming back to the UK. I had to stay in Dubai for about 6 hours. And I was like, "Don't fall asleep." And I was flagging and I was drinking coffee to keep. And I don't know if you've been to Dubai, but anyone who's been to Dubai, they know you can get internet signal. You can get Wi-Fi signal in Dubai airport. But it's like someone had told, "Don't give Nick Dunn any internet signal. Don't let him know what's happening." Because I couldn't get Wi-Fi for the love and the money. There was, when I went through my messages, there was nice, kind people saying, "What's your flight details? I want to upgrade you to the first class if you're not on first class anyways." It was just amazing. Like once I got Wi-Fi, my phone went ballistic. All the nice, lovely, kind messages from people.
Yeah, I bet.
And then I got on that flight from Dubai to Newcastle Airport, and I flew with Emirates, and it was all paid for by the Mission of Seafarers. So they played a big part of the Mission of Seafarers in the whole thing. And I've always said in letters and this and that, you know, when you're about to land and the captain says we're entering such and such airport, I would get butterflies. And I remember being on that flight, and I was knackered. I was zonking. I was like, ah. But then once the captain said, "Please fasten your seatbelts. We're coming in to land at Newcastle Airport," it's like someone just flicked the switch, and I was fully
Yeah.
recharged. There was no jet lag. There was no fatigue. I was like a fresh, brand new man, and it felt weird. It felt weird. Why was I 1 minute nearly falling asleep to now ready to take a brand new day on? And we landed in Newcastle Airport. Everyone was getting off the plane. I got off the plane last, only to realise I got back on the bus with everyone else. And I was like, oh, for God's sakes, man. But I tell you what, I thank Newcastle Airport for what they've done, for my welcome home. They were absolutely tremendous. When I was walking down them steps to get on that bus off the airplane, the people that were like the baggage handlers and all that involved in the flight were standing there clapping their hands, saying welcome home.
Wow.
It's like they all knew I was on this flight, and it was absolutely tremendous, amazing. So I got on the bus, we got back into the airport, me and self. I was picked up by one of the airport staff, and it's like the baggage handlers jumped on that plane and went, "Where's Nick Dunn's bag?" Because my bag was there waiting for me. I didn't have to wait for it to come on the conveyor belt. It was waiting for me. I was like, "This is unbelievable. Honestly, amazing feeling." And coming into Newcastle Airport, the airport staff went, "I can't go any further. It's your final walk now." So I've got a backpack on. I've got me little hold all, and I get to near the door, and I freeze. I can't move, because I know on the other side of that door is my family. And then some bloke comes to the side, opens the door, and what I just see, I'm like, whoa. You've got all the media on the right hand side, you've got friends and family on the left. I was like, this is surreal. It even apparently shocked my sister, because she was just thinking a few little people, family in the local media, but there was everyone and the dog there. It was an amazing feeling. And then the door shut again, and I was like, oh, I can't do it. So then someone else came, opened the door, and I remember my dad speaking to my sister, and the clockers, and I remember my dad saying, he's there to my sister, and two magnets like that. And obviously, if you've seen my welcome home video, you see it. It's how I didn't snap my sister's back, I don't know. But it was just amazing how I was finally home. The nightmare was over.
Yeah.
4 years over nothing. 4 years of my life that I'll never get back, taken. Yeah. And what did they achieve from it? Pain, suffering upon me and my family. That's all the police achieved. And people say it was because the 2 Italian Marines in a different incident killed Indian fishermen, and you were made an example of their wrongdoing. That's the bottom line.
That's just the mentality, though, of so many foreign agencies, though, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
We experience it all the time. You see it with your own eyes in Afghanistan, just how poorly trained these agencies are, whether it's police, government, stuff like that. It makes you just wonder how they walk around thinking the way they do. It's just like, it's bizarre, isn't it?
It's definitely bizarre.
but it also just shows you the severe level of corruption that's in that part of the world, and it's terrible. It really is.
The
Because
corruption in India is unbelievable. That's all I can say.
yeah, but I like what you were saying about in that obviously that last stint that you were spending in jail. You know, that how it's a testament to yourself, how you kept your mind so strong. You trained. You were constantly trying to, you know, bet yourself day by day in the environment that you're in. Is you know, is a testament to yourself, and it's hats off to you, mate.
It's
It's
too
amazing.
easy. It's too easy to sink into a bottomless pit.
Yeah,
It's staying afloat that's the toughest. And I stayed afloat because my well-being, my military training, amazing support from people around the world. You know, people, we couldn't have afforded our lawyer if it wasn't people donating to
mm.
our fund, because that went to pay for our lawyer. We got out because the people kindly donated. And I would like to say thank you to everyone who donated, and even to those who didn't donate but shared posts, supported me, and all the other guys. We are indebted to people's generosity and kindness, and it's something that I'll never forget.
That's unbelievable, mate. It really is, and it just goes to show you how awesome the great British public can be.
I believe we kind of brought the greatness back. It should have gotten a bit more media coverage, but the problem was we were all Northerners, and obviously if someone Southerner would have been a bit more in the public eye down there as well, but it was still good support, especially
Yeah,
from my local community as well.
yeah, no, that's awesome. So speaking of positive notes, the whole ordeal is being made into a book, which is out early next year, isn't it?
It is, yes. Now nearly finished writing a book. I'm personally not writing. I can't spell for crap, and my crayons keep breaking. No,
When
but
you
yeah,
when you said parachute regiment, I kind of gathered that.
yeah, the amount of crayons I've tried to eat is beyond reason. But yeah, I've got a fantastic team who's been helping us do this book to basically tell people everything that went on in 4 years, the highs, the lows, mainly the lows, because there was not many highs. Because I can't physically talk 4 years,
Yeah,
but I can put it in a book.
yeah,
The book's going to be called Surviving Hell, and I went through 4 years of hell. My family went through 4 years of hell, and the book is out in March next year. So stay tuned for the actual release date, pre-order. I'm guessing that'll be early next year when that comes out.
yeah, mate, that's awesome, man. And it's been really great having so many veterans on the show that have, you know, overcome adversity and really harrowing times and gone on to write, you know, bestsellers.
Yeah.
I'll get myself quite a collection on my bookshelf of the guys that have been on the show that have got books out. So I'll definitely be buying yours, mate, next year. And I think, and another reason why I love getting people like yourselves on the show, it not only gives you a platform to share your story to you know thousands of listeners out there, but it's so relative as well, because you know you've not been some kind of like crazy billionaire that's like rolling in money that's can pay for these hotshot lawyers. You've literally,
I came back to the country with nothing.
yeah, exactly, and it's so relative to people
No
like that.
compensation, nothing.
Yeah, and that's just there's so many lessons that can be learned from people that will read the book, I'm sure, and things to take away from it that they can implement in their own lives, especially like mental resilience and stuff like that.
Well, that's the main thing, the mental resilience. It doesn't matter how bad things are in life, good will always follow, and you've just got to not give up. And just to let you know, I've got 5% left on my battery, so
That's all right.
but yeah, basically, for people to not give in.
Yeah.
Bottom line, don't give in, because things will get better. You may not feel like they're going to get better during that time. You know, the amount of guys that couldn't see the bright light at that end of the tunnel was unbelievable. The negativity from some of the guys was unbelievable.
Yeah, I bet it was.
You know, we've been sentenced to 5 years. If I had to do 5 years to then walk out them prison gates, I would have done 5 years. But luckily, we only done a collective 2.5 years of prison time out of the 4 years we were in India. And me doing these podcasts, me writing a book, is to basically put people who might be listening to things or reading things where they think I was in prison for 4 years. I wasn't in prison for 4 years. I've never said I was in prison for 4 years. I was detained in India for 4 years. There's a difference.
Yeah.
But I hope people buy my book next year and they can read about what me and my family went through from start to finish. And for those who are struggling in life, basically take, hopefully take something from that book and hopefully implement it in their lives to not give in.
Yeah.
Because I do believe what I've gone through, it has made me a stronger person.
Oh, no doubt.
It's knackered me emotions, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you've witnessed, I have been a bit teary. That happens. It's not something that you can't not, because we're a close-knit family, and I'm a bit of a mammy's boy, so obviously when I heard about what happened to my mum, it devastated me. Yeah. It devastated me to the point where I would have took my own life.
Yeah.
If she not survived, I would have took my own life. That's it, because that's the mental state I was in at that present time. But because she didn't die, it got me to basically battle the demons and fight till the bitter end. And I fought to the bitter end. I came home.
Mate, that's unreal. And please pass on our thanks and a massive high five to your mum for battling the way she did. And you're with us today.
Yes, that's great. I think I'm going to have to go now.
That's right, mate. Okay, ladies and gents, you heard it here with Mr. Nick Dunn, an unbelievable story, which is going to be obviously in his book. But please reach out and get it next year. I'm sure there's some amazing lessons you can learn from it, but I guarantee there are some amazing lessons that you can learn just from this show alone. I'll be putting all Nick's contact details in the show notes. But from me, Nick, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, my man. Share your story the way you did is just unbelievable. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for giving me the time to share my story and what I've been through. It's been great chatting, and it's a bit of part of mental health as well, me talking about it.
Yeah.
Well,
there you have it, guys. An amazing interview with Mr. Nick Dunn. I'm AJ Roberts, and this is the best version of you.